Stillwater's Morning Scramble. Glad to have you here. Glad to have Rob Hill in. Good to see
morning.
you.
Yeah, man.
You're a busy guy, I bet, these days.
A little bit.
So with emergency management and
all that entails.
And
who knew it included pandemics?
Well, on that front, when you talk about the mayor, the city manager, and all these, this is not what they. I mean, when you take the job, I suppose that we hear this, especially with presidents. There will be a crisis. They say that every time.
Yeah.
How will they handle? Because there will be a crisis. And is that your crisis there?
No, that's not my crisis. Oh, yeah, it was my phone, but yeah, it's not a crisis.
Wow,
yet.
that sounds like a big truck's going through.
Well,
but you don't plan to go back to. You can't plan for any crisis. You don't know what it's going to be. And
we have the ones that we're accustomed to,
which is weather,
and we know the types of impacts that we get out of those. It's usually just how devastating is it going to be. But when you start talking about pandemics, man, that's a whole new ball game.
Yeah, and people are learning about it as we go along.
Absolutely. So they're going to be writing volumes on this for years.
Yeah, and that's not an exaggeration.
No, for years, because there are so many things that are going on that we don't know yet. We don't know that we know it, right? I mean, it's 2020 hindsight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be more prepared for the next one. Hopefully there's not one for a while, but be more prepared for the next one as a result of this one.
We've been talking about all the webinars and everything everybody's going through. Are you doing that every day?
Every day, yeah. I spend more time on a conference call or on a WebEx or something like that, or in Zoom, just communicating with my state partners, my local partners, my critical core partners, the hospital, the health department, those types of people, just keeping up with what's going on.
Yeah, I'm going to get my legal ID in, make sure we're doing that right. Then we'll come back here.
Okay.
And you got some stuff you're going to dive into here. I know that you have. We've got new numbers out and everything. Those change. I think, is it still
Daily.
11:30 when the they have I don't know whether they have a media source there or whatever, but it's updated there. And then I see your stuff that you put on Facebook and Twitter and everything, usually about 11:45.
We try to get it out just shortly after they send it.
Yep. Here is your ID.
KOSB, Perry Stillwater. KOKP, Perry Stillwater. KOKP, Blackwell, Ponca City. It's Triple Play Sports Radio, your home for live and local sports talk.
And the executive director. Oh, that's a good title. I don't know if it's true or not. Is it executive director? You got executive?
Oh, for me? Oh, yeah. No executive for me. I'm just director of emergency management.
That's pretty good, though.
That's a pretty good job.
You have an executive, you got to wear a tie. It's the law.
There you go.
So
my executive director's Norman McNichol.
It is.
Yeah.
And what a great job he's. And I think the comfort like I watched the council meeting the other day, and I think I know everybody on. I do know everybody on the council. Some better than others, but I at least have knowledge of all of them. That's a good group. That's a really good group.
And the biggest thing that all of them have in common is that they really, really care about this community. They really care about the individual, the families, the businesses, everybody, the employees. They care about every aspect, and that's big, right? And when you work with people that care, things tend to get done. And that's big for us.
Absolutely. What do we want to dive in here this morning?
So I'm going to keep it kind of brief because I was a little late this morning. But our numbers are at 719 for Oklahoma, 30 deaths, and then we're in 48 counties today. We expect that number is going to go up exponentially just because of the statement that the governor made yesterday and the number of tests that we're starting to get in. So we know that the number is going to go up, but the new data that's out, and again, everything is new and everything is subject to change at any time, but the new data that's out says that by the end of April, 1st of May, we'll hit our stride. We'll hit our peak. We'll stay there for a couple of weeks, and then our numbers will start to decline. That doesn't mean that the virus is going away. It just means that we've hit our peak with the number of people that are getting the virus. So
now let me ask you, those projections that are made, that is with the understanding we're going to follow all the rules and restrictions that we have, right?
Yes.
If we do as we're told.
So there's a combination of things that go into that. What different communities are doing, what the state of Oklahoma is doing, what the health department and the medical profession are seeing as far as is the virus maintaining? Are there multiple strands? Are there things that are happening that will impact that, right? So we originally heard the middle of April. Now then everybody is starting to say the end of April, 1st of May. couple weeks in May, we'll plateau. Then we'll start to decline on the backside. So end of June, 1st of July, we'll really start to see the numbers go back down. But here's the new thing is now we're starting to see where we're going to see August, September with another spike, because we think that there's so many unknowns. First of all, we don't know if somebody that has contracted the virus can get it again, right?
Right.
Now, obviously, this is all dependent on if a vaccine is created. If a vaccine is created, this changes the game altogether. This is if there's no vaccine. But we could see another spike. You're starting to see athletes start to play again. You're starting to see schools start back up. We're starting to see an influx of students and stuff.
That's the projection in the fall.
That's the projection, right?
Right.
So, so we could be into this until maybe October, November. So, and this is unprecedented territory for us. So everything I'm saying today is subject to change as soon as I get up out of this chair and walk out the door, right? Just because there may be another deviation in what's happening. But so the other thing we got asked yesterday that was a very good question that I feel's merit being repeated is what does the rollback look like? What is the walk back? So everybody knows what we've done to this point, right? There's been an emergency. There's been a proclamation, an emergency declaration, and then there's been 3 amendments to that so far. So, without going into great detail, what I think you'll see is we'll probably change again because we're constantly evaluating what's going on in the community. We'll probably continue to extend the deadline. Most likely, the next time will be to the end of April because we're going to want to meet what other communities are doing, plus what the state of Oklahoma is doing. But the mayor is very, very diligent in looking at where we are, what things are occurring, and what type of extension we need. So with that, when we get to these, when we start rolling this back, what I think you'll see is we'll just start to remove the last amendment, and it'll resort back to the amendment before with some new wording, right? So we'll just walk it back the same way we walked it up. So there is the potential that if things continue on the way that they are and projections are accurate, we may never completely get out from underneath an emergency declaration when we get to August and September this year. So those are the types of things that we're thinking about. Now, we're not trying to be doomsdayers here, but what we're trying to do is prepare the community, right? Let people know. But those are the types of things that we are planning for in our office as we move forward. And like I told Casey just a minute ago, prepare for the worst and hope for the best, right? We know that there's been a lot of testing done on this to create a vaccine. So we're hoping that a vaccine is created very soon because we know that they've been close a couple of times. And if that happens, game changer, right? This goes away.
Where are we with testing here in Payne County?
So the governor said yesterday that there's 13,000 new tests that are coming to Oklahoma or that are here in Oklahoma. We know that OSU fired up yesterday. Their lab did in conjunction with the health department. We know that they're testing somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 tests a day.
Wow.
And those are getting quick turnarounds because we're centrally located, so people are getting the answer back very quickly.
When we're saying that, because they were even talking about maybe a point where we can get them in 45 minutes. Is that realistic?
So that test So that test, that design has had to be tested itself to make sure that it's accurate every single time, right? So once they get that rolled out, that will be a big help in the medical profession. If you can test and have a patient wait for 45 minutes, you'll have an answer in just a minute, right? So we know that those tests are being produced and rolled out. The other thing that we know is happening is that they've got these mobile testing sites. Now, there are guidelines for you to be able to go. You can't just hop in your car and go, right? You got to have a fever. You got to have a note from a doctor. You've got to there's a couple other parameters that you've got to do that you've got to have to be able to go. But it's in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, K County, and Woodward, right?
So they do have it in K County then?
They do.
Okay.
They do.
When's it coming to Payne County?
We don't know that yet.
Okay.
We're working with them. We do know that the Strategic National Stockpile was tapped, that Oklahoma got its delivery, We got just a little bit more than what we were supposed to get, and the awesome thing is that first responders should see a little bit of relief in PPE equipment because they've held back about 10 to 15% of what they needed because they got so much that they held back about 10 to 15% to get to first responders. So that's going to help police and fire and EMS be able to continue to respond to calls for service.
Are we much better than a lot of the country in that regard? Because I've seen the stuff, the stuff since obviously New York is still the epicenter here.
It is.
And so you see what those hospitals are going through and those healthcare providers.
So let me put it this way. Yes, we are, because we got to see it coming and we could ramp things up. I mean, so in our community in Payne County, we have 15. We have 15 cases, and that's very low. And that's indicative of the fact that measures were taken early. That's indicative of the fact that people are following and abiding by the rules and doing what we're asking them to do to help slow this. People are doing what they need to do as far as social distancing and exercise outside and everything. So, and then there's always constant changes. Like we're seeing some of the big box stores now and the big retail outlets where they're only allowing so many people in at a time, right? And that's helping. So, with that being said, yes, I would say yes. But we don't have the numbers. If we had the numbers and we had the same ratio that they were having, we would be in the same position.
Yeah. You're talking about people following the directions. I found a trail yesterday, and I was the only guy there. I didn't see a single soul. That wasn't on at Boomer Lake, on top of the lake, and there were some people there. But they seemed to be practicing what we're being told by the mayor and others, and you.
Absolutely.
And the fact that there was nobody congregating or anything like that.
That's good.
And we did see some of that last week where they would still be huddled, and you saw, even playground equipment. And I didn't see anybody on any of that, which is good.
So playgrounds are technically closed right now. All tennis courts, basketball courts, everything like that are closed, right? The only thing that the parks are open for are the great big open areas and walking trails and stuff, right? So you can bike at Lake McMurtry, you can walk at Boomer and stuff like that. But as far as the playgrounds and stuff where people tend to congregate, those are all closed.
Yeah, and I haven't been to that couch, but they have a great
walking trail.
Great walking trail, but also disc golf.
Yeah.
Are those closed too? The disc golf, is that closed?
No, I don't believe disc golf is closed. No,
Okay.
But we encourage people not to do it in groups, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, but a lot of people. Our community is doing a very good job. They are. They're doing a very good job during a very difficult time, and it is stressful. And I do want to get out one thing, right? That you can call 211, and you can actually, if you are having anxiety or if you're having issues coping, and you just want to visit with somebody, you can call 211, and you can absolutely talk to somebody about what you're feeling, how you're feeling, and the things that you're going through. Absolutely, and we encourage people to do that.
I need to give that out more because when Rusin and Cherry Carter used to do it also with United Way, that is a great service. And no matter what the issue that you have, you can use that almost like a 911 only to discuss the matters you're talking about.
And I will say that the vice mayor, Darlington, is very pro mental health, right? And she has recently put out a peer-to-peer information, and I wish I had that information to share. And it's on the Facebook page. You can find it on our Facebook page. But she came out with if you just need somebody to talk to, you call, you schedule an appointment, you talk to them, and a very, very great asset, right, for people. Some people are feeling very stressed over this. Some people are fearful of the unknown, right? And those are the types of things that we want those people to have access to so that they can call and talk to somebody.
And just conversations are counseling. Same thing, really.
Pretty much, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So, talking on the phone, it's therapeutic. Other people that are going through this, right? Things that they're doing, so we learn from one another, obviously. Go ahead.
Well, this was a different topic, but I've seen this in other cities where businesses are not adhering to the strict rules of their town. One in Enid, they were. I saw a
Church.
story 2 or 3. Well, this was a bar.
Oh, yeah,
that had
yeah.
been warned before, the Spot Bar, I believe. And a car dealer in Norman was getting quite a bit of publicity because they were getting citations and said, "We don't care. We're going to stay open, and you can write us a ticket every day." I don't know that they're still doing that. $750 to me would add up after a few days. But are the businesses in Stillwater? Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing?
Yes. Yes, and I just want to reiterate that the mayor was very clear that the Stillwater Police Department's not in it to cite people, right? We want to educate and warn people, right? We want people to participate. We want people to be good stewards in the community and to follow the rules and to help slow the spread of COVID-19. Even though we're doing a very good job, there still may be potential where law enforcement's actually asked to go out and to see what's going on, and then they have to make a decision, right? So, but no, everybody, to my knowledge, right now is doing a very good job. I don't know of any one person or particular business or anything like that that is just absolutely being defiant, and that's good, right? That's
Good
what
to
we
hear.
need.
Yeah.
We need compliance because that's why our numbers are so low. We acted early. We have low numbers because people are abiding by the rules and the guidelines that we've asked them to do, and it shows because we've seen other communities that didn't have anything in place. They got one case, then the next day they had 10, then the next day they had 20, and we're seeing some of them really start to catch up with Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
Are you letting the kids visit the grandparents?
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
I know that's a personal question,
It
but
is.
I think
No, we're
it's a
taking-
testimony. Yeah.
Listen, here's the thing. When you're in the type of business that I'm in, you have to practice what you preach.
Yeah.
And we are absolutely doing that in our house. I have an 18-year-old daughter who had a birthday yesterday, and it was very tough not having a birthday party for her with all of her friends. But they did it via social media.
Yeah.
And it's hard for them to understand, right? I get it. She understands what's going on, but it's hard, right? They're very social. They want to get together and stuff, and we want that for them too. But right now, it's just not the time, right? Let's make it up on the backside, and I've seen a lot of posts about graduations and stuff like that, and hang on to those, and let's celebrate those later. Absolutely, I agree, but yeah, I mean, what kind of message does it send if I come on here and I ask the community to do a certain thing and then they see me out doing just the opposite,
Absolutely,
right? So we absolutely practice what we preach.
I asked John Talley when he was in yesterday because, excuse me, everybody's had to go into the store. I mean,
Yeah,
you've had
yeah,
to.
absolutely.
And me too. But the more people visually, anyway, recognize John Talley than me, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because they're in the big newspaper, right? But I feel guilty even in the 3 minutes I'm in there to get my stuff. And I'm trying to listen to everybody and, make sure it's a quick trip and do all the stuff. But you feel like, and you can almost sense that now. And the fact that everybody just, okay, we're here to do our business. Nobody's lounging around or visiting. And almost even scared to talk to you. You go in, you get out of there. It has to be done, but do it the safest way you can.
So I've actually had to go grocery shopping a couple of times to get the necessities, right? We're not getting frivolous things. We're just getting the things that we absolutely need. And I got to tell you, I feel like I'm breaking the law, like I'm breaking the rules by being there. And it is something that you're allowed to do, right? To go to the doctor, to go get groceries, to do the things that you absolutely have to do to sustain life, right? So absolutely. But yeah, I felt bad. And I will say this, as I reached over to grab my cart, I was very cognizant of the fact that, wow, I don't know who used this cart before me. I don't know if it's been sanitized. I didn't bring something to sanitize the handle.
Were you not at a store? Most of them now have that.
They do.
There. Yeah.
They do. But the time that I went, we didn't.
Yeah.
And so I was very cognizant. And I would reach up to grab a product and normally read the box or something like that, to see. Now then, I find myself not touching the stuff on the shelves and just sticking with the things that I know that I could that
You're that guy that reads all the ingredients. And
No,
everything.
not necessarily. But,
I've seen you.
But occasionally there's certain things, and for example, my blood sugar. I have to watch my blood sugar, and I want to know what the sugar count is and some things, right? So I just went, you know what? I can't be touching all these things, and these are not the things that I would normally use. So listen, I'm just not going to pick them because I don't want to touch everything on the shelf. Because now then, I saw this morning, right? Now then we're having to disinfect the groceries that we get.
Yeah.
We're having to disinfect paper. We're having to disinfect deliveries from all the big chain vendors and stuff like Amazon and stuff. And now then, we're having to disinfect wherever the groceries touched. So there's just so many piece parts that are going into this that you're so cognizant of what have I touched, where have I been, what have I done. Just wash your hands.
It's odd, and I didn't think of this until yesterday, but we have, because we're in town, we get earlier newspaper service than somebody who lives out of town. We have a salesman here, great guy, and he gets his paper here.
I thought of that this morning when I saw you pick up the paper in the bag. I thought,
it's in the bag, though.
I know, but I thought, I wonder where that bag's been.
Hey, I brought it in here. And did the Clorox thing. You saw that, I think.
I knew what you were doing, but yeah.
Yeah, and so I cleaned the newspaper, but I don't open it now.
Yeah.
And I was opening it, and I was reading this darn paper before and I was like, how stupid was that?
Yeah.
Because, I get here, and I'd done through the paper, and here's paper. Thanks for letting me use it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
So just little stuff like that.
It is, and it's just being very cognizant. And I think what we're seeing now, the traits that we're doing now, the things that we're doing to protect ourselves, I think are going to be part of the new normal as we move forward. I think you'll see a big change in the way food is delivered. I think you'll see, like at big sports venues, how food is handled and processed will change a little bit maybe. I just think that with this, we haven't had a pandemic outbreak since, or let me just say a pandemic since 1918, right? So, like I told Casey this morning, not a lot of people around that remember that. All right, so
we've got a PSA, and I mentioned this yesterday, but I think it's really good, that Dr. Trad does with Stillwater Medical Center, talking about the way in 1918, the difference in the way St. Louis handled it and Pittsburgh, similar-sized cities, and they handled it completely different.
Yep.
And St. Louis was proactive, Pittsburgh was not. Pittsburgh had several times.
They had a parade and celebrated the war being over and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
So just learning from experience.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. So, there's. We always get to learn from other people, right? So, and that's why we're implementing a lot of the things that we're implementing. But I think the biggest thing that gets people, and I'll wrap this up, but the biggest thing that gets people is the fact that there are just so many unknowns. And by the time you get your mind wrapped around what's new, it changes. And then we have to change the process. And it's very frustrating for us. It's very frustrating for the community. But I will say this, everybody seems to be handling it very well and doing a very good job in responding to the requests, and then helping to slow the spread. So we live in an awesome community, and I'm really appreciative of the people that are here and what they're doing.
Well said. That's a good note to end on, isn't it? So thanks for hanging out. I know you got a full plate today. So
absolutely.
And I bet we'll do this again next week if that works.
Okay.
We'll figure out what day works for both of us. Well, mainly you.
Okay.
I can bend the rules or whatever.
Okay.
You just say you need on and you're on.
All
you know
right.
that, I think.
You bet.
So
you bet.
there you go. There's Rob Hill.